And we're back with Legends of Lake Howell. Today, I'm here with none other than Coach Mike Bisceglia, longtime coach of Lake Howell High School. Coach Bisceglia, thanks for joining me.
It's a privilege to be here. I appreciate it.
So you had a long career in education. About how many years were you in education?
Total of 47 years.
47 years.
Right.
And how many years were you at Lake Howell High School?
27 years.
How long did you coach football at Lake Howell High School?
21 years as a head coach. Took a couple years. I took a little reprieve and came back and helped out with the JVs for 3 more years.
So in coaching, did you have a certain philosophy that you followed as a head coach?
Yes, it was always my philosophy. It wasn't how many games I won or lost. I always say I never lost a game, I just ran out of time. But it was how many young men I could help to develop into outstanding young citizens. That was always one of my priorities.
And let's talk about some of those young men that you had an opportunity to coach. Who are some of the standout athletes? Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask who was your favorite, because I know that there are a number of athletes who probably watched this video. So let's talk about some of the standout athletes, because we've had a number that are in the Hall of Fame now, and they've gone on to play on professional sports teams. So let's talk about some of those standout athletes that you had.
Probably the 5 that went into the pros: Marquette Smith, Queka Mitchell, Tambora Hopkins. I already said Marquette Smith. Right?
Yeah.
Let me sit here. Brendan Marshall, of course, and Trevor Price.
What was, in your mind, what was unique about them, just in general?
Probably their skill sets. They were extraordinary as far as their athletic ability is concerned. That's what made them standouts.
Now, I heard you say that you never cut an athlete, but never cut a player.
Correct. I can remember in junior high school going out for the basketball team, the very first day of practice, the coach lined us up against the fence and went down the line, and he said, pointed at me, and he went like this without ever giving me a chance. So I always thought in the back of my mind that if ever I became a head coach, I was never going to cut a player. I was always going to give them the opportunity to come out and play for the team. And that might be one of my biggest successes, never cutting a player, always giving them the opportunity to play what I think is one of the most outstanding, greatest sports ever.
Let's talk about some of the years that you were a coach here. Are there any years where the teams, you had some standout teams, some really good teams?
In 21 years at Lake Howell High School, we only had 6 losing seasons. Probably the 2 most outstanding seasons were 89 and 90. Those were the 2 seasons that we advanced into the playoffs.
Any athletes that stood out on that team? Any really good players? Coach is laughing, I'm putting you on the spot.
We all know that it takes more than 11 players on the field. It was offense, defense, and all the support players, kids that may not even play the down. They were all part of that puzzle that made us successful. Too many times people think they only look at the win-loss record, and they don't think about all the sacrifices every player on a team had to make in order to be a member on that team.
How has the sport changed, or is it still the same from when you coached?
So many ways. Better technology is number one. I can remember trying to make highlight tapes of my players, and it wasn't tapes, they were film, 16 millimeter film. Or if I wanted to make a highlight tape, I had to cut and splice reels of film in order to make a highlight. And those films now, the rest of those tapes or films were destroyed. So today, and then came VCRs, the videotapes, made it so much easier. Today, everything's instant, you know. So I think technology has really changed the game. I look out on the sidelines and see a tent set up with TV monitors, and kids come off the field and look at their mistakes they made, where all we had was a whiteboard trying to draw up plays and trying to coach them to do the right things. So equipment is another thing. Training techniques have really advanced. I can remember, you know, one time was weight training. Then came plyometrics, overspeed training, speed resistant training. So all these things help develop athletes. And I was always big on that. Lake Howell was probably one of the first teams in Seminole County to employ plyometrics, which is a Russian type of training where if you increase your vertical jump, there's a direct correlation to how fast you can run. So we did a lot of plyometric trainings. I had the shops here at Lake Howell back then, build the plyometric boxes. And we were fortunate to have the steps going up to the second floor that we would do bounding drills up the steps, do plyometrics on the box, a lot of jump rope. And I think that was a good asset. And plus we had a nice little grade out behind the building there that was about a 6-degree grade that we would run down. That's overspeed training because you have to turn your feet over faster and coming up would be speed resistance. So things like that really helped. And people don't believe this, but when I first, in 1981, when I first came to Lake Howell High School, they had no weight room. They had a closet that had some weights in it that I guess they would pull the weights out and had one bench. And that was one of my first priorities was to establish a weight room. Back then, we took an empty room that was back in the Industrial Arts building. It was empty. We raised money, bought the universal weight machines, a couple benches, some free weights, and we got after it. First year at Lake Howell in '81, we were 3-7. The very next year, we were 6-4, and from there on, we just kept building.
Now, I know that you're in the Lake Howell Hall of Fame for athletics, but you were recently inducted into another athletics Hall of Fame.
The Orlando Touchdown Club Hall of Fame. That was quite an honor too. You know. I guess it's good for your ego. I've always had, I had success. As far as football is concerned, I've had a lot of success in my life. Probably my father was a great influence. My father was an outstanding athlete at high school. He was a football player, a track star. He was the fastest 100-yard runner in the city of Pittsburgh. And I can remember as a little kid wearing his leather helmet and shoulder pads that I thought were made out of cardboard and a t-shirt with all his track ribbons on it running through the house. So my father had a great influence on me as far as channeling me in that direction. And I was successful in high school. I was fortunate enough to play on 3 high school championship football teams. My high school coach, Pete Imperio, won 17 City of Pittsburgh championships in 21 years as head coach. And I was fortunate enough to play on 3 of those. My senior year, I was the most outstanding athlete in the city of Pittsburgh. They always chose one from the City League and one from the Catholic League. And they actually bronzed my football shoe.
Oh, really?
As a Tom McCann's award. And I still have that sitting in my office. I look at it every day and reminisce.
Now,
and I was fortunate enough also to play on an undefeated college team. In 1963, I was at Missouri State College, and we were undefeated. We got to play in a mineral water bowl in Independence, Missouri. And I had the opportunity to meet President Truman in his library and got to shake his hand.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was
Yeah.
an outstanding.
Now, what position did you play as an athlete?
In high school, I went both ways. I was a fullback, believe it or not, in the single wing offense, and I played a cornerback in the secondary on defense.
You prefer offense or defense if you had to pick one?
It
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter. It was all part of the game.
Now, there's more to you than football, and I understand that there's some art, and then there's some Tai Chi involved as well. So we'll start with Tai Chi, and then we'll go into art.
Well, you know, when I retired, I thought I had to step back and kind of slow things down. So I started taking yoga, Tai Chi, and I thought to myself, well, what's the other Zen thing I can do? So I started painting with watercolors.
Okay.
I have two brothers that are artists. One's a retired commercial artist, and one's a retired art teacher. So I thought maybe I had some hidden talent, you know.
So I understand that you brought some art with you today. Let's have a look at it. I know that these are some of your favorite pieces that you got here.
This one here, can you see this, guys? Can you see that? It's called Cityscape, and it's done in watercolors. And I'm not a traditional watercolorist. I use a bunch of different techniques. I think that's what's so nice about watercolors. You can use various techniques. I actually use soap bubbles, salt. All the buildings were just matched off with masking tape, and I peeled it off. And that is Cityscape. And this one here is On the Hunt. Whatever inspires me. I see something in a magazine or something on TV, and it inspires me to paint. I forget where I got this inspiration from. On the Hunt. This one's poinsettias. I did that around Christmas time.
So the watercolors, how does that process work?
I probably chose watercolors because it's not very forgiving. You have to kind of plan ahead, just like in football. You know, you have to do your pre-game planning before you step out on the field. It's inexpensive. It's portable. You can take it anywhere. All you need is a brush, a little tray of watercolors, and a little jar of water, and you can paint outside. You can go anywhere with it. And another thing I like about it, it's quick. It's fast, it dries fast, and you can do a painting in 45, 50 minutes.
So the pieces that you have here, is that about the length of time, or those take a little bit longer? Because you got a lot of detail there.
Yeah. This was influenced by my anatomy courses I had in college. You know, being a physical education teacher, they think all my classes in college were pre-med students. They all set the curve. But anyway, this is one I did recently of the heart. I've done quite a few anatomical paintings, and there are a lot of different techniques in there. I think the thing to remember about any type of paintings are to remember the 4 C's: composition, color, contrast, and creativity. So that's what I always try to keep in my mind when I'm painting.
Now you mentioned your high school career as an athlete. So let's talk about you as a high school student. Let's go back to when you were in Pittsburgh as a high school student, and what type of student were you? A straight A student, an athlete?
I made the honor roll a few times. I majored, mostly the strongest classes I had were math and science, biology, chemistry, physics, and all the math classes, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, plane geometry, trigonometry. Those were my strongest classes. Also, in high school, we were required to take an elective every year from all through junior high school and high school. And believe it or not, I started off, I thought I would be good in art. So I took an art class, and the second week in my art class, a kid behind me stabbed me in the back with a pencil. And we got in a little tussle there, and had to go down to the principal's office, and they transferred me out of art into wood shop. So who knows what might have happened, because I didn't start painting until after I retired from teaching. You know? But probably, I think that the teachers that had the most influence on me was Mr. Arnold, who was a math teacher. I really enjoyed working through math problems and having him call us up to the board. Every student had a chance to come up and do the math problems on the board. I really enjoyed that. And of course, my high school coach. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for my high school coach, because he promoted me. You know, he helped develop me, and that was one of my primary objectives as a coach, is to see a young man come into the program. I had just to give you an example, I had a player that they called the Worm. He was a little skinny kid, couldn't bench press 100 pounds. By the time he graduated, he was bench pressing over 300 pounds and got a full scholarship to the University of Cincinnati. So that was another thing that really made me think about the work ethic I always had. In 1956, get this now, this is when President Eisenhower introduced the physical fitness, high school physical fitness. It was a 50-yard dash, I'm gonna try to remember now, 50-yard dash, a shuttle run, pull-ups, sit-ups, and there was something else I can't remember. And I was embarrassed because I could only do 3 pull-ups. So I went home and I built a pull-up bar underneath our back porch, which was elevated because there was a basement down below our back porch. And every day I would come home and I would do pull-ups. And in 1 year, I was doing over 30 pull-ups. So that was always one of my motivational things. I believe that self-motivation is the only lasting motivation. And I always tried to make my athletes remember that, because that, you know, coach can tell you what to do, your parents can tell you what to do, and so on and so forth. But if you don't have the desire to get it done, it's not going to get done. You know, everybody has dreams, but not everybody wants to pay the price to make those dreams come true. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication to improve yourself. You know, it's always been my philosophy too. You get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. So why not try to make yourself a little bit better every day? And we had a motto here at Lake Howell that every day before we stepped on the field, we would gather up and we'd say, I'm getting better every day. I have the burning desire to accomplish my goals. Through hard work and dedication, success is mine. And then we would all chant, together we will, because it takes everybody. It takes a family. I learned that growing up in a family of 8. I have 4 brothers and sisters. My mother and father living in a small duplex in East End of Pittsburgh. We had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Things were hard, and we all had our responsibilities. Everybody had a job to do in order for the family to function. And I always remember this, that one of my chores was to mop and wax the hallway, the bathroom, and the kitchen floors every Friday night. And I was 17 years old, getting ready to go to college the next morning on the Saturday. And guess what I was doing? Still washing, mopping the floor, waxing the floor. So, great family. I was the oldest of 6. And
So our last question that we have today, and it's along the lines of what advice would you give yourself? Because you had an opportunity to play at the high school, the collegiate level. You've had an opportunity to mentor students, and you've now had a second life after football, where you're doing art and Tai Chi. So you've got quite an experience here. So if you had an opportunity to go back and be a mentor to yourself, what would you say to yourself with all the information that you have now as a high school student? What advice would you give yourself?
Follow your dream. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, if you believe you can do something, put it in your mind that you can get it done. You know, the funny thing is everybody believes they can do something. One of my favorite stories, if you don't mind me saying this,
Go right ahead.
There was a famous tightrope walker from France in the mid 1800s, and he wanted to walk across Niagara Falls on a tightrope. So he set it all up, and from the United States side to the Canadian side, and he walked across the tightrope over Niagara Falls. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls, you can just imagine. Mm-hmm. He walked across with a balance bar. When he got to the other side, people were cheering and yelling. And he said, "Do you believe I can walk across this tightrope without the balance bar?" And of course, everyone said, "Yeah, we believe you can do it. We believe you can do it." He walks it back across to the United States side. People were cheering and yelling. He said, "Do you believe I can take this wheelbarrow and walk across the tightrope to the other side?" And everyone was yelling, "Yeah, we believe you can do it." And he said, "Well, if you believe I can do it, one of you get in this wheelbarrow." You know, so people believe they can do things, but they don't want to make the commitment or the sacrifice to accomplish their goals. I think, you know, you have to take that step. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step, and I always told my players that, you know, it's like putting money in the bank. Every day you take another step forward, and that's another day you're making yourself a little bit better. So,
well, I think that's the perfect ending. And Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And that's another episode of Legends of Lake Howell.